The issue or question of Scottish independence from the rest of the UK seems to be a reoccurring theme in the news. Every so often I hear politicians talking about it, or I see journalists writing about it. And I think it was in January that Alex Salmond, who is the First Minister of the Scottish Parliament and the leader of the SNP, announced plans for a referendum on Scotland's independence in late 2014. Now, I've heard some say that eventual Scottish independence from the rest of the UK is inevitable. I've heard others say that it will never happen. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and neither does anyone else. It's not about what politicians in England or even politicians in Scotland say, though. It comes down to what the people of Scotland want for their country, and it is their country. They have a democratic right to choose their own path. If Scotland, by the will of the people, chooses to part company with England, Wales and Northern Ireland, so be it. We should respect their decision and live with it. I'd be interested to see Scotland hold that referendum. Do the majority of Scots actually want independence for their country? On the 7th of March, Eddie Barnes wrote this in The Scotsman, quote, "Backing for British institutions such as the monarchy, the pound, and even the nationwide BBC 6 o'clock news has risen in Scotland at the same time as support has grown for a more powerful Scottish Parliament, a new poll reveals." In a graphic example of how voters appear to favour political change in Scotland, but cleave to a continuing union across Britain, the YouGov poll shows that backing for a separate Scottish oversight in diplomacy, defence and immigration have all dropped over the past 5 years. At the same time, however, the poll shows that Scottish residents have warmed to the idea of the country running its own tax affairs under a system of fiscal autonomy. That is now more popular than having public services funded by a Westminster grant. End quote. So, according to this poll, 32% say they support independence, with 53% against. But the third option of more powers to the Scottish Parliament seems to be the most popular option or position for Scottish voters. The article talks a bit about Alex Salmond and the SNP, and also there are some finer details of what this YouGov poll found. Apparently, more than 4/5 of respondents want to keep the pound sterling, 60% want to keep the Queen, although I can't see why personally. I'm English and I don't want to keep her. Most of the folks who responded to this poll want Scotland to keep contributing to the British Armed Forces rather than having a separate armed services. Not many favour Scotland having its own immigration laws, apparently. Only 28%, in fact. 62% back immigration rules as applied to the whole of the United Kingdom. There are some good quotes in this article as well. To read the whole thing in full, visit www.scotsman.com. The article's called Scottish Independence Poll, Scottish Support for UK Institutions Grows, by Eddie Barnes. Well, let me know what you think, especially if you happen to be Scottish. Do you support full independence for your country? Or are you happy, or at least satisfied, with the status quo? Or do you favour more powers being passed from Westminster to the Scottish Parliament? And also, do you think Scotland's economy would benefit if the country were to separate from the rest of the United Kingdom? I would think the future of the economy is the key issue with Scottish voters, or at least most voters anyway. Catch you later, folks. Peace.